Hello, everybody. It is a gorgeous day here inside of the shop. I know you guys are probably tired of watching me be inside of the shop and you just want to see me drive. Trust me, I want to see me drive too. But as you can see, the weather is beautiful, and that is a good sign. That means we are getting closer and closer to car season and drift season and all different types of good weather season things. So now with that, it's got me more motivated and ready to finish up this. And like I said, we don't have much to do. I just got a couple things to finish bolting it on, and then we can get on making this thing actually look pretty. So as you can see, let me not say what you can see. In the previous episode, you guys saw that we had the front end torn apart after we got the rear put together with Dan Malvasio's brand new upper and lower control arm setup. That's going to allow us to have the toe adjustment we need without having to worry that we are maxed out on the rear trailing arm brackets that everybody knows is a problem for 46s and 36s once you lower a vehicle. So now that that is done in the backside, we're going to finish up the things here in the front by bolting up the brand new E36 knuckle with the BC Racing shock mount. That's going to allow us to go away from the pinch style knuckle to this 3-bolt, an anchor and 2-bolt design, which these 2 bolts go here where my fingers are pointing at on the outer ends. Much stronger, much more reliable, and at the end of the day, the 36 knuckle is a way better geometry setup than the 46. Not that this was inefficient. It did work. It did do the job, but this is going to help us be a little bit more competitive and get the car a little bit more dialed. Now, with that, like I said, we've got all the brand new SLR stuff, the knuckle adapter, the hardware, because we had broken stuff. And as well as the tie rod sleeves that we're going to be throwing on, which I still have to work on getting this out of the car, but that's no biggie. Once we get all those things thrown on, we'll be able to get the rear put back together, because I was able to find some hardware that I was real nervous about, were these little 12.9 graded bolts, these little Allen headed studs that I ended up finding at my local hardware super cheap, and I didn't have to wait online, because if you guys remember, I mentioned about the hardware breaking on my CV axle during the competition at Englishtown, and that was because I screwed up and I did not run Permatex's thread lock kit. The reason why I say that is because the bolts ended up eventually backing out, and that's how I found out, and they ended up shearing out because they were just pretty much flopping around in there. Regardless, I screwed up, and I should have ran Permatex's orange thread lock. Once the rear's put together, we'll be able to finally get on the cosmetic and a couple other things like the switch panel and the Haltech 2-way wideband control setup and get that all dialed up into this vehicle. And then we can finally get this disgusting blown out rear all fixed up and get this thing one solid, good looking color. So once that's done, or before we even get onto that, I got to make sure I get this finished. And like I said before, I think you guys are going to like this. I've been dying to do this to my fuel system. You guys pretty much probably already have a good idea what we're going to end up doing, but I'm going to be practicing it with this spare tank that I have. If anything will happen to this tank, I'm not worried about it, because I've got another one. But I've got this tank here that we're going to be throwing inside of the vehicle. And yeah, I'm kind of excited to try that out. So with that being said, let's get to work and let's get the rest of this vehicle finished up. Right now, we're going to finish cleaning out the threads on this knuckle to get this bolted up back inside of the vehicle, and then we can move on from there. Keep watching. Both towers, I ended up welded up the plates up. So now just waiting for them to finish cooling down. I'm going to see if I clean up, scrape this up or whatever, try to clean it, trying to pretty much get it ready for prep. Some of the paint started coming off, which is no biggie, but easy clean. But now the reinforcement plates are on, which is huge because I ended up taking those out, these, and I didn't realize it, but this side was also damaged, which this was the side where the tower ended up getting pushed over. So, I mean, rightfully so, I don't expect anything less. So, but regardless, this is all up. I'm happy. That's all cool. Now we're gonna let it cool down, get back to throwing these on. And while we were taking these sleeves out, I think it was, forget which one of these. I think it was this one. ended up finding the sleeve is also bent too. So, which now makes my second tie rod sleeve that I've bent. I mean, it's not extremely anywhere near as bad as the first one I bent, but it is bent. So now that these are done, clean these up, kind of cover everything up around it, try to get ready to primer and paint it so that way it's not just bare metal on top, and then get everything swapped out on the bottom there, and then these should be pretty much good to go. So I'm happy. It's been a hot minute since I've welded, probably a little bit over a year, and not the best, but it's better than most people. So sweet. So here we are a couple days later. You guys saw the passenger side is all put together. The E36 knuckles with the lower portion bracket for the coilover, all that has been attached. I tried to measure as much as well as I possibly could to the old style, so that way my height wasn't dramatic, but obviously we're gonna change that over time. But the towers are done, they're painted. That's why I had to wait a couple days to get this all done. Lower arm is in, I gotta finish putting the tie rod in, but real quick on these tires, I was not expecting for this to blow up as much as I thought I did, or as much as I thought it would have because of me welding some plates. Some good, a lot of good, but a whole lot more bad. I get it. I am not a professional welder by any means necessary. I didn't go to school to become a professional welder. I didn't, learn to go somewhere to learn how to fabricate and all this other stuff. I did this over time, little by little by little. I picked this all up. I did this all on my own. So I'm pretty proud of what I was able to get done to the car. If people don't understand the purpose of these plates for these towers, here's an image of what happens to these towers when you don't reinforce these properly. Yes, you can use these plates, which comes on, I believe, the 330s, the HP, and the M3. But look, all damaged, and probably for when I destroy the tower. When that can happen to any car. But the thing is, this is what was working for me, and it was fine. I had no complaints. But I wanted something stronger. Yes, I could have done the same thing by using a strut brace. But if you use a quality strut brace, which I would use, if I had the same accident I did last year, where this tower ended up getting pushed, guess what happens? A quality strut brace is going to push that tower that way, which means I'm not fixing just one side, I'm fixing both sides. Possibly, depending on the crash, if it's that bad, the car is totaled. And if the car is totaled, I don't have the time or the funds to go ahead and build a whole new chassis. It's going to be extremely difficult. So I do this, the most minimal amount of work needed, if in case there's a worst case scenario, so I have to do the minimal amount of repairs afterwards. Rust is not going to be a problem for this car. The car will probably be totaled before I have to worry about it rusting. So that's all done with. Regardless, that side is done. The towers are done. It's all clean. It's all finished up. Now we're going to get on the other side. You guys saw I did a couple things for the strut when I was throwing this on. First off, I ended up putting an anti-seize in these threads. This is the stuff that we use at Ford. It is a high temperature nickel anti-seize lubricant. I put it in the threads. You don't have to put it in the threads. I put it in the threads because we do live in an area that gets cold and moisture. And not that this would be a problem, but if I ever have to service this, it makes breaking this free and adjusting the height super easy. So that was what I did there. The knuckles, the knuckle adapter is on. Everything has been torqued, as you can see here. Now we just got to get this side put on for the tie rod sleeve. Put the sway bar link back on, and then tighten a few other things, and then this should be good to go. I'm excited. It's one step closer because I didn't realize we're already almost midway through March, and the season is less than a month away to start. So we're going to get on a rush on getting this finished so that way we can hopefully get a chance to go out and do get the adjustment on the alignment done, and then get a couple test runs done. So I'm excited. Let's get ready and get the other side done. But I will go over what I ended up doing for the passenger side, for the driver's side, and kind of explain to you guys what exactly was all done. And then hopefully we can go from there. So keep watching. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this bolted up on here. We're gonna take coil, throw it inside, line in the holes, and we're going to push this inward as much as possible towards the vehicle, which is gonna be the max amount of allowed negative camber that comes with these stock strut tower holes. Take one of our nuts here, tighten this up, and then follow the rest through for the other two. And that's gonna secure our top side here, and then we'll go right down to the bottom. But before we do, we're gonna have to go over and tighten or do the knuckle. So one thing that's not a problem, but it's kind of cool but kind of annoying, is the SLR camber plates have crazy amount of camber adjuster based off of the holes that are all over the coilover, or the strut top, I mean. So you can reposition your caster by repositioning these threaded holes or the studs and go into different threaded locations, and then rotate your camber plate and get different caster adjustments. Obviously on the 46s, they also have the lollipops that are on the bottom that you can adjust your caster that way. Either one involves taking a hardware off, whether it's the 2 bolts on the lollipop or these 3 nuts up on the top side, and then taking the bolts or these studs with a 4 millimeter Allen key, and then just spinning them out, rotating your plate in which direction you want to for either more positive or negative caster, and then repositioning it and tightening it up. I believe the lollipop is actually a little bit easier. You just have much more with the plates. So again, it all comes down to preference. Right now, there's so much adjustment available on this vehicle that I have no complaints to be able to dial the car into where I need it to go. So now let's get the knuckle bolted up and go from there. Well, kind of had a little bit of a mishap. The bolt ended up breaking off inside. And that's my fault. I thought I cleaned the threads out of this, and I didn't. That's why I had this tap out. And I thought it's because I already did it, but I didn't do it with this knuckle. So, yeah, now I got to extract that. So, it is what it is. I do a bunch of extractions, so I might as well show you guys that too. Sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah, that sucks. And I was so close to getting this done too. So that's gonna take up some time. Well, time to get that out of the way. Now that debacle is finished, it's finally done. Front end suspension is finally all put together. The BC Racing coilovers with the E36 knuckles, the new knuckle adapters, the new tie rod extensions, all the new hardware. Only thing I got to do left is bolt these sway bar endlings, but everything is on and good to go. Obviously, we still got to get in alignment. I'm not 100% where I need to be, but good amount of angle, but couldn't get in a better combo. BC Racing coilovers, SLR speed angle kit, tried and true, been the go-to for the E36, E46 chassis since God knows when. So huge shout out to those two companies. The front end now is all done. The reinforcement, the coilover setup, the E36 swap, everything is finished in the front. Now we got to get the alignment done, bolt the rear diff, and the next thing is going to be that gas tank. So with that, I'm going to call it quits for this video. It's been a very, how can I say? It's been a very long week. It shouldn't have took me this long to get this done, but obviously with painting the towers and then the broken bolt fiasco and then a lot of stuff going on with work, I was extremely busy, so it was kind of really hard for me to get in here just being so tired. But take the time that I got and I'm in here trying to get the work done. So that's all finished. We get to move on to putting everything together. Oh, I also went ahead, and not that like it really matters, but I had a set of M3 E46 or E46 M3 calipers. I've got the rear as well too. They're not that much different than the 330. Honestly, it's not worth really making a big, fiasco about changing it. But the M3 calipers are slightly bigger than the 330. Most people that are running 323, 325, or 330 or 328s, they switch over to the 330 calipers. Those are way more than enough. But I figured with the master cylinder I had set up, and the pedal was a little bit more firm than I wanted to, that I would just throw the E46 M3 calipers on just to see what the difference are. If not, I'll switch back if I really need to. But they bolt right on. I don't know what everyone was talking about, that you need to cut and fab the E46 M3 brackets, which I ended up wasting money getting done because I threw the E36 knuckles on, and the E46 M3 calipers just bolted right on. No issues whatsoever. And they are E46 M3s. I ran the numbers and everything that are on them. They are for the E46 M3, and they bolted right on. I didn't have to cut anything. Like, these are still the 330 brackets. The other ones, which I'll show later, I ended up having to machine this part because apparently they say it doesn't fit, but it rotates fine. I said, we'll find out as time goes. But regardless, we are done with this video. If you liked what we went through, the trouble that I had to go through with fixing the bolt and the knuckle, the E36 setup, please give that like. If you want to see more, give a subscribe. If you have any questions, hit the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to say. Let me know if you got any other opinions or ideas. Regardless, I'm always open to this sort of stuff. I love talking to people about cars. So if you know it and you want to say something, just leave a comment. But regardless, like I said, give that like, give that subscribe, and keep following. Because next, we're going to be taking care of the gas tank. And it involves using this guy. So if you're interested, give that notification a hit. Y'all take care and y'all enjoy.